Good morning, students.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Yes, today we are discussing a very important topic, which are very important for your exams also. So comes as a long question. Um, these topics are the rectum and anal canal. These topics are the rectum and anal canal. Now, so in the rectum topic, anatomy of the rectum, I am going to discuss these points: introduction, course, measurements, curvatures, relations, structure, blood supply, nerve supply, and applied anatomy. So these are all these points I'll cover in the rectum, and then next, after completion of this, I'll go to the anal canal, anatomy of the anal canal. That is very important compared to the rectum. We'll get frequently anal canal question, long question. Okay, so you should have the knowledge about the anatomy of the anal canal. Okay, so in 2015 batch, probably 2015 batch, they got the long question on the anal canal. So like this, sometimes uh, it may be come to your batch also. I don't know, but you should be ready for the what is the anatomy of the anal canal, what important morphology is there in the anatomy, or morphology, or what are the important features are there, anatomical features are there in the anal canal, you should know. Okay, so let's begin the rectum. So it is a lower dilated part of the gut. So this is the lower dilated part, large dilated part of the your intestine, which is located in the pelvis. So which is located in the pelvis. So usually rectum, the name in rectum indicates it is one of the straight. Rectum means straight. So this rectum is also straight tube in the quadrupeds, which are having the four legs. So in them, the rectum is straight, but due to the bipedal nature of the human, so the and also the forward pulling of the levator ani muscle, there is a sling, anorectal sling. So so this forward bending of the rectum, it is not straight in, usually it is not straight in the humans, but in quadrupeds it is a straight tube of the GIT. um, so this tube is present in the pelvis, and between the so it is present between the above sigmoid colon is there, and below you have the anal canal is there. And this structure is or this rectum is divide of tinea coli, the muscle coat, the longitudinal muscle coat of the large intestine, saculations. So here you have the folds, you can see the folds of the large intestine in the sigmoid or your transverse colon. So the most of the colon is having these saculations. So these are absent in the rectum. And then appendices epiploicae. These are the fat filled pockets. You can see these pockets here. So these are the very important, the external features of the large intestine. Okay, these three features are not present in the rectum. So also it is not have the peritoneal covering. So the rest of the large intestine is covered by the perineum, but this rectum is not covered completely by the mesentery. So it is divided of four structures. One is tinea coli, the muscle coat, circulations, the foldings. They are also called as the haustras, absence of the haustras, and then appendices epiploicae and mesentery. All these are not present in the rectum. Hello, sir. ಹಾಂ ಸರ್, ಈಗ 11ರಿಂದ 12 ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಸರ್, ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್. ಹಾಂ ಸರ್, ಹಾಂ ಸರ್, ಮುಗಿಸಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ಹ್ಞೂ, ಓಕೆ. So what is the extent and course of the rectum? So from where it begins, where it below, where it continues down as. So it begins as a continuation of the sigmoid colon. It is begins as the continuation of the sigmoid colon. So at the level of the or opposite to the third sacral vertebra. Third sacral, here we have this is sacrum. So just opposite to the S3 level, S1, S2 and S3 level. So opposite to the S3 level, here the it is a continuation of the sigmoid colon as a rectum. And where it ends at the at a point 2 to 3 centimeters in front and little below the tip of the coccyx. So here you can find the tip of the coccyx here, and where the 2 to 3 centimeters in front and little below the tip of the coccyx. So 2 to just little below the tip of the coccyx. Here the arrow mark is showing here. So the dilated part of the rectum is it is become narrower here. So this junction is, yeah, here this point is the end of the rectum and beginning of the anal canal from here. So this junction where the dilated part is narrowed or constricted, this constricted part of the dilated part of the rectum is called as a anorectal junction. So this is a anorectal junction. So the arrow mark is showing. So which actually the rectum it passes here, and then and again it passes through the pelvic diaphragm here, then it continues as a anal canal. So this is the anorectal junction is lies at the level of the apex of the prostate gland. So here you have the urinary bladder is there, just below this you have neck of the bladder, and so just at the level of prostate you have the anorectal junction. Okay, so this is lying at the level of apex of the prostate gland. So what are the measurements of the rectum? What are the measurements? Length of the rectum from above from the so S3 level to the tip of the coccyx. So at this level, so what is the length? 12 centimeters. It is a 12 centimeters length. Breadth. So breadth is the 4 centimeters. Breadth of the rectum is 4 centimeters. And um, it presents the lower dilated part, so that is called as a ampulla. So it presents the lower dilated part, so that is called as the ampulla. So usually when it is empty, when it is empty, it is it is look like it is a in the form of transverse slit. Okay, transverse slit. So there are curvatures, very important curvatures of the rectum. So there are two type of curvatures, anteroposterior and lateral curvatures. So anteroposterior curvatures are the so here sacral curvature. So this is posterior. This is anterior curvature. This is convex forward and this is convex backward. This is sacral flexure, and this is a perennial flexure. So this is convex backwards and this convex forwards. These are the two antero-posterior curvatures. This is anterior and this is posterior curves. This is a posterior curve and this is anterior curve. So these are the perennial and the sacral flexures. Lateral curves. Rectum presents 3 lateral curves. So what are they? So first curve here 1, 2, 3 points are there, numbers are there. So on the upper side, so one convex on the right. So this red arrow mark showing this convex on the right side. Right side we have two curvatures. One is the this curvature. This is a convex on right, and it is this upper one. This middle one is the largest. Middle one is the largest, and it is the most prominent one. It is convex on left side. You just see this curvature. This convex on the left side. This one is the middle, and then and sorry, I told three. There are four curvatures. One, two, and this is the third, and this is the fourth. So convex on right side, convex on left side, and then lower one. So why here four they are given? Not I don't know. Only three are there. I confused you people. So again I'll repeat this one. Three curves, three lateral curves are there. First one is the upper curve. So you are seeing this one. This is upper curve. From here to here, this is upper curve. Second curve, this is a middle. Second curve, largest and more prominent, and then lower curve is the this one. This is a convex on right side again. This is a lower curve. There are three curves. First curve is the first one is present at the level of S3 S4 level, means third and fourth sacral level, and then second one is that on the sacrococchygeal junction. So where the sacrum and coccyx articulating. So that point you have the second one is present, and then lower one is at the level of the tip of the coccyx. So like this, three curvatures are there, important curvatures. So they are present in the rectum. So support of the rectum. Which are the structures supporting the rectum? So it is supported by pelvic floor by the levator muscle, very important muscle which forms as many sphincters. Pelvic floor by the levator and Valder's fascia, lateral ligament of the rectum, Denon fascia, and pelvic peritoneum, perineal body, and its 10 muscles. It is giving attachment to the 10 muscles, pelvirectal and ischiorectal fat. Okay, pelvirectal and ischiorectal fossa or the ischiorectal fat. So these are the supports for the rectum. So on either anteriorly as well as posteriorly and either side, right and left side. So it is surrounded by all these structures which give the supports to the rectum. So peritoneal relations, anterior relations, upper two-third, it is covered by the peritoneum, and again one third portion is non-peritoneal. Okay, posterior it is a non-peritoneal. So upper two-third is the peritoneal anteriorly, and posteriorly it is a non-peritoneal. Difference in male and females. So in male, reflections here. In male, you have the peritoneum is forms a fold here, or it forms the fossa here. In male, it forms a fossa. This is called as a recto. Sorry, this bladder is the vesica. In other name for the bladder, urinary bladder is the vesica. So between the rectum and urinary bladder, prostate is there. So in male, this fossa is called as a rectovesical pouch. So this is called as a rectovesical pouch in male. And in female, if you go to the in female anatomy of the rectum, so here there are two pouches are there. Again, this is in male only, same slide in male. So this is a in male, this is a rectovesical pouch. So if you pass a finger from the anal canal, so you can reach, or you can palpate this rectovesical pouch, or the distance from the anal canal to this pouch is the 7 centimeters. Okay, 7.5 centimeters from the anal canal. So this is the distance from the anal canal to the fossa or the pouch. On each side you have the pararectal fossa is there. You can see the on each side you have the pararectal fossa. And then in female, this slide what I want to show you. So in this slide, you have two pouches are there. Just you see, one is in between the uterus and the bladder, and one between the uterus and rectum. So first pouch is the uterovesical pouch. Vesica means urinary bladder. Between the urinary bladder and the urinary bladder and the uterus, the peritoneum forms the folding here. Between these two forms a fold. This fold is called, or this pouch is called uterovesical pouch. And this is 5.5 centimeters above from the anus. So this is 5.5 centimeters above from the anus. And then just behind this, one more important structure is the rectouterine pouch of Douglas. So these are false supports of the uterus. Usually, if you study the uterus of the anatomy, these are the supporting, not they are not actually supporting the uterus. They are giving the fascia supports to the uterus. So here there is a peritoneum is forming the pouch. This pouch is called as a rectouterine pouch of Douglas. This is important. So it is usually palpated through the anal canal. It is around 7.5 centimeters from the anal canal. So again on each side you have the pararectal fossa is there. Pararectal fossa. So either side you have the pararectal fossa. So relation in front of the rectum in male. So they are the in the rectum. So it is partly it is a peritoneal covering, and then just close to the ampulla it presents the. So it is related to the urinary bladder, and then so seminal vesicles, and then you have the prostate gland. So all these are related here, and then perineal body also. So they are separated by the denoalveolar fascia, and if you, behind this you have the rectal. Behind this you have the fascia faldear and anacoccygeal raphe. They are present in the posterior aspect, including the sacrum. In female, the again in female it is the rectum is related to the perineal body and rectovaginal fascia here. Rectovaginal fascia is there. Okay, so these are the general relation in female. And then in the posterior aspect again, along in the midline aspect, in the midline you have the some important relations are there in the relations are there on the rectum. One is the middle median sacral artery, which is a branch from the aorta, median sacral artery, uh, and then you have sympathetic trunk, and then muscles. Either side you have muscles, piriformis muscle, coccygeus, and then levator muscles. So this side as well as this side, means the right and left side of the anal canal. Sorry, right the either side of the rectum you have piriformis, and you have coccygeus muscle and levator muscles are present either right and left side of the rectum. And then in the middle, along with the middle median sacral artery, you have ganglion impor is there, sacrum and coccyx are there, and then anacoccygeal ligament. So these are related posterior to the anal canal. Sorry, this rectum, posterior to the rectum. These structures are there in the midline. On each side again, this is repeated. So this is on each side you have pararectal fossa is there, and along with that you have pelvirectal space with levator muscles, and also either side we have the just below this we have the ischiorectal fossa is there, that comes in the anal canal. I will discuss. Interior of the rectum. So in the cut section, vertical section, you can see the mucosal folds. Two types of mucosal folds are there here. Mucosal folds are there here. Two types, temporary and permanent. And temporary or longitudinal in lower part, they show the they are present in the lower part and disappear on distension. Permanent mucosal poles. So these are called as the Houston walls. These are called as the Houston wall. So this is a here there are four folds are there. One is here. This is the first one, and second one where the sigmoidorectal junction. So first one is present at the sigmoidorectal junction. This is first Houston wall, and then where the this interiorly you can see the semilunar walls here. So these semilunar walls are the permanent mucosal poles. So these are formed by the reduplication of mucous membrane containing submucosa and thickening of circular muscles. So just here you are seeing the mucosal layer. Just due to this, these are formed by the thickening of the submucosa and thickening of the circular muscles. These four folds are formed by the submucosa and thickening of the circular muscles. They are four in number. Houston walls are four in number. They are horizontal. See, they all are horizontal placed. So these are formed because of the thickening of the circular muscles of the rectum, and they are formed close to the concavity formed by the rectum. Here you see this where the concavity is there. There walls are present. So here you have the concavity within this concavity. So here also you have concavity. So in all these concavity, you have the walls, but the thickening of the circular muscle fibers are there. They form uh, these Houston walls. First wall, it is present at the rectosigmoid junction. It is present opposite to the S3 level. So it is 12 to 14 centimeters above the anal canal, and it is it is on right and left wall. It is present on the right and left wall. The second here the here upper one, middle and lower three this hostel walls are there. So in next slide I'll show you third wall. The most important one is this is the most important and constant. The third one is the here. This is the third one is the it is most important and it is constant, and it is present along with the anterior and right wall. It is present along with the anterior and right side, along with the concave the middle lateral curve. So that is called as a Nelaton sphincter. Okay, that is called as a Nelaton sphincter, which is present at the level of the S pi and pi centimeter above the anal canal. This is pi centimeters above the anal canal. So this divides the rectum into upper and lower parts. Upper chamber. So this is the upper chamber and this is the lower chamber. Upper chamber is developmentally it is developed from the hindgut, may contain feces without reflex act of the defecation. Lower chamber is developed from the endodermal cloaca, and it is helps in the entry of the feces, and it starts the defecation from here only. Fourth wall, it is 2.5 centimeter below the third wall, and it is on the along with the left side, left wall, along the concavity of the lower lateral curve, along with the concavity of the lower lateral curve. So this is the fourth wall. So what is the importance of the wall? They support the weight of the feces, prevent passage of the instrument. Rectal washing should be done in the left lateral position to prevent injury to the third wall. Arterial supply. 5 rectal arteries supply the rectum: superior rectal artery, middle rectal artery, and inferior rectal artery, and also from the internal iliac artery, and then uh, internal pudendal artery. So 5 blood vessels supplying the rectum. Superior rectal artery, it is a continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery. It is a principal artery of the rectum. Entire mucosa and upper musculature is supplied by the the superior rectal artery. Straight vessels arise from the plexus and anastomosis with the inferior rectal artery. So they are forming the anastomotic network in front of the in this rectum. So middle rectal artery, it is a branch from the anterior division of the internal iliac artery. Supply the lower part of the, here you just see this one, here it is supplying the lower part of the rectum. Inferior rectal artery, branch of the internal pudendal artery. This arrow showing, black arrow is showing the inferior rectal artery, which supply the perianal skin and the sphincter ana muscle. So median sacral artery. So in the midline, just now previous slide has shown you the relation. Median sacral artery, it is a branch of the abdominal aorta, supply the posterior wall of the anorectal junction, which supply the posterior wall of the anorectal junction. So venous drainage, so they are arranged in two sets. They are the internal rectal venous plexus and the external rectal venous plexus. So these are the site of the hemorrhoids or piles. We'll discuss that later. So internal piles and the external piles. So very important clinical aspect of the rectum as well as the anal canal. So venous drainage you just see here. So the portocaval anastomosis is formed between the anastomotic network is formed between the superior rectal vein and they are forming the six radical veins. Internal rectal venous plexus and rectal venous plexus, they are formed by the six radical veins from the internal iliac vein, middle rectal vein, and internal portal vein, and inferior rectal vein. They form the internal rectal venous plexus and the external rectal venous plexus. Lymphatic drainage, from upper part they carry the left common iliac nodes and pararectal nodes. Then from the middle part, this upper part, so right side they are carrying to this side, and the left side they are carrying to the internal iliac node, and then from the lower part they drain to the superficial inguinal lymph nodes. This is a lymphatic drainage. Nerve supply by the sympathetic by the superior hypogastric plexus, that is L1 and L2. They are vasomotor, stimulate the sphincter and inhibit the musculature. Parasympathetic, they are pelvic splanchnic nerves, secretomotor to the rectum, stimulate the peristalsis and inhibit the sphincteric action. So this again repeated. So again the clinical importance of the rectum in incorporate anus. So here, so in females usually what happens, the rectum and anal canal they open. So here it is a normal. Here they joined with the single orifice. All three, the whatever the orifices, separate orifices, they join together to form the single orifice. So that is called as a incorporated anus. Okay. Congenital rectovesical fistula. So this is here normal. Bladder, anus and rectum is there, and genital organ is there. But here, so anorectal malformation is there. Rectum is joining with the urethral organs. So rectum is connected to the urethra. So this is called as a congenital rectovesical fistula. Vesicovaginal fistula. So here, the between the urinary bladder and the vagina, there is a connection. So this is this abnormality is called as a vesicovaginal fistula. This is all about the, and one more is there, ectopic anus. So see here, anus is situated anteriorly in the perineum or in the vulva or vagina. So anywhere the, so anus is opens. So this is called as ectopic anus. And microscopic anus, sometimes the opening is too small, so that is difficult to see also. That is called as a microscopic anus. Coming to the anal canal, very important, and you should know the detailed anatomy of the anal canal. This comes as a long question, important for you in future also. So anal canal extent and course. It is a terminal part of the large intestine. Begins at the anorectal junction at a point 2 to 3 centimeter in front of the little below the tip of the coccyx. Just now I discussed. So anorectal junction it begins. So the rectum ends there and the anal canal begins from there. So it runs downwards and backwards and then opens at the anal orifice 4 centimeter below and in front of the tip of the coccyx. So it opens at the anal orifice here. This is the anal orifice, the exterior opening. So this is present at in front of the tip of the coccyx. What are the peculiarities of the anal canal? So anterior wall is shorter than the posterior wall, surrounded by sphincter ani muscle, and tone up it closes the anal canal. Usually except the defecation time, rest of the time it is closed by the tone of the anal this levator ani muscle. Okay, levator ani it acts as sphincter action. It closes the anal canal, opens only during the defecation. So length of the anal canal is 3.8 centimeters. Breadth when empty. Lateral wall is approximated in the form of anteroposterior slit. Relations anteriorly in male. So anteriorly perineal body. In male membranous urethra, bulba penis. In female lower end of vagina. Posteriorly anococcygeal ligament and tip of the coccyx. Laterally it is related to the ischiorectal fossa. All around sphincteric muscles tone up which keeps the anal canal closed. Again relations in male, here it is the anal canal is related to the perineal body and the here you have the bulb of penis will be there in male and posteriorly Wilder fascia and anococcygeal rapid will be there in the posterior aspect. In female, so again perineal body and vaginal, the lower part of the vagina is related in the anteriorly and then again anococcygeal raphe is present in the posterior aspect in female also. On each side you have the, it is related to the ischiorectal fossa. Anal canal is related to the ischiorectal fossa on each side. Then coming to the interior part, it is important, most important part of the anal canal is the interior. So it is interior is divided into three parts by, there is one a line that is called as a pectinate line. So I'll discuss that later. So this line divides the anal canal into three parts, upper area, upper part and the intermediate part and the lower part. So the anal canal is divided into three parts by pectinate line. So above the pectinate line, this is the upper muscular part and then intermediate part and then lower part. So first we'll discuss the upper muscular part. So this is the upper muscular part. Till here it is. I'll show you in the next slide. So it is 15 millimeters length and it is endodermal origin, lined by the semi-transparent mucous membrane. It is, the mucous membrane is lined by stratified squamous or columnar or stratified squamous or stratified columnar epithelium. It is plum red due to, because the venous plexus, whatever the internal rectal venous plexus is there or internal rectal venous plexus which is present outside the mucous membrane. Because of this reason, the mucous membrane looks like a plum red. So this is the upper muscular part. Features here, the arrow, black arrow indicating the anal columns. They are also called as the columns of Morgagni. These are permanent longitudinal mucosal poles formed by the reduplication of the mucous membrane, contains radicals of the superior rectal veins. So these are the important features of the anal columns. So these are the anal columns between the mucosal poles. Permanent longitudinal mucosal folds. These are 6 to 10 in number. These are 6 to 10 in number permanent longitudinal mucosal folds formed by the reduplication of the mucous membrane. Contains what it contains? Superior rectal veins. So this area, this upper part, this from the above your rectum and below this is a line, denticulate line, or also called as the this pectinate line, also called as a dentate line. Between these, whatever you are seeing, this is the upper area, 15 millimeters long, and it presents the anal walls. So where the anal walls are present, and these are crescent, or these are also called as a wall of ball crescentic mucosal folds. So here, so where the pectinate line is passing, there crescent mucosal folds are there. So poles connect the lower end of the anal columns. They are connecting the lower end of the anal columns. So they present the upper and lower surfaces. Upper surface is convex and free upwards. The lower surface is concave and it is facing towards the intermediate area. So this here you have the anal walls are there, just below the anal walls are just below the anal columns. In next slide I will show you the anal walls also. So importance of the pectinate line. So pectinate line is divide the canal into upper and lower areas. It is dividing the anal canal into three parts, but all the three parts are different in embryologically and gross anatomy. Their gross anatomy is also different. They means arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage, nerve supply, and 85% of the disease starts in this area only. Okay, so this is a dividing the canal into three areas. All the areas are different from different in developmental aspect, as well as the gross anatomy that includes arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage, and nerve supply. So coming to the upper in the upper muscular part only, so we discussed the anal columns. So these are the columns that is over. Then anal wow, the crescentic folds also we discussed. Here you can see the crescent, the line, small lines you can see here. So these are the anal walls or ball of wall. These are just now we discussed. These are the ball of wall. So just above the where the free margin, is there here, just either side of the free margin, you have the epithelial processes are there. So these epithelial processes are the indicating that the remnant of the anal membrane. So these epithelial process are called as the anal papillae. These are called as a, so the epithelial processes here, some amount of hyperplasia of the epithelium will be there. So this epithelium is called as a anal papillae. So just now we discussed this is anal walls. Again I'll show you the anal walls here. So these are the anal walls here, crescentic folds. So about the anal wall, these are crescent mucosal folds. Pre-margin is directed upwards. Upper surface is lined by the simple columnar connected to simple columnar epithelium. Lower surface is by the stratified epithelium. The position of the wall is indicated by the pectinate line. Wall is torn during passage of the hard stool, produces the painful condition called as anal fissure. A sentinel file is a tag formed by the rupture of the anal wall. So these are all. So the anal sinuses. So these are sinuses are nothing but these are the epithelial processes. Okay. These then recesses above the wall between the anal column. So what are the anal recesses here? So between the anal wall and the anal column, there is a gaps. There is a mucosal. There is a folds, mucosal folds. These are called as the recesses. So these are the site of the foreign body. These are the site of the foreign body. So these recesses are the analysis. These recesses are the site of the foreign body. Intermediate area. So this is area of pectin. So it is 15 millimeters long. Ectodermal origin. Anal columns are absent. Bluish pink in appearance because of the internal the venous plexus makes the bluish pink appearance of the mucosa. Lining epithelium is steadfast squamous, non-keratinized epithelium. There are no sweat glands and sebaceous gland at this point. This is the intermediate area. And then lower area, this is a 8 millimeters long, ectodermal in origin. And then there are skin folds. You can see the skin folds. They are converging towards the interior, towards the intermediate area. So these true skin with the pigmentation is there here. Corrugation is due to the corrugator cutis any muscle. The foldings are formed because of the here one small muscle is there. That muscle is called as a corrugator cutis any, which makes uh, the foldings of the skin of the lower area of the anal canal. So there are some coarse hairs will be present exterior of the lower area. So coarse hairs will be there on the exterior of the lower area. So this pectinate line, so it is also called as a dentate line, very very important landmark for the anal region, and this forms the mucocutaneous junction of the anal canal and corresponds with the position of the anal wall. It is situated at the middle of the internal sphincter of the internal sphincter muscles. Line divides the anal canal into three areas which are different in development: blood supply, lymphatic drainage, and nerve supply. Importance of the pectinate line. Its development is endodermal cloaca, arterial supply by the suprarectal artery, venous drainage upper area through the suprarectal artery. So that is through the portal vein, lower area through the systemic veins, that is internal inferior rectal artery. Lymphatics by the upper area drain to the internal lymph nodes, lower area drains to the superficial lingual lymph nodes. Therefore, the pectinate line forms the water slide line for the anal canal. Hilton's line. So here you are seeing the Hilton's line, white line here. So this Hilton's line is the contrast between the bluish pink area or the intermediate area and the black skin area below. And the line represented by the intersphincter groove at the lower end of the internal sphincter. It indicates the lower end of the internal sphincter. So it indicates the lower end of the internal sphincter, and anal intermuscular septum is attached carrying the fibers of levator venae and longital muscles of the rectum. So the anal intermuscular septum is attached to the Hilton's line, and then this line is represented by the sphincter, the internal anal sphincter. Importance: it indicates the lower end of the internal anal sphincter, and anal intermuscular septum is attached. Anal fascia and lunar fascia are extended till here till the this line. Musculature of the anal canal. So outer longitudinal, it presents the here it is in the form of tinea coli. The bands are there, but if you come to the rectum, anterior thick band and the posterior thick band it is. So above in sigmoid colon it continues as the tinea coli, but here it presents the anterior band, thick band, and the posterior thick band. So anal canal musculature. So there are two type of musculatures. One is internal sphincter. There are sphincters actually. The musculature is in the form of sphincters. So internal anal sphincter and then external anal sphincter. Internal one is a thickened lower circular muscle of the rectum. It is involuntary in nature. So this is the internal anal sphincter here. What you are seeing. This is internal sphincter. External sphincter is voluntary, formed by the striated muscles. It is having three parts: subcutaneous here, this is subcutaneous, and superficial and superficial and deep. Subcutaneous, superficial and deep. So these are the external musculature. That same thing, started in muscle, state of tonic contraction, innervation by the pudendal nerve up to 30% resting pressure. Most of the squeeze pressure contraction is maintained for lesser than 2 minutes. Elliptic contraction with a sudden increase in the intra-abdominal pressure relaxes during the straining. Damage results in fecal incontinence. So this is the external anal sphincter. So the superficial muscle here, subcutaneous muscle surrounding the anal canal, and this is the deep muscles. Subcutaneous, superficial, and deep. In cut section, you are seeing this. Subcutaneous, superficial, and deep muscles of the external anal sphincter. So this one is the internal anal sphincter. This one is the internal anal sphincter. It is smooth. It is formed by the smooth muscles, autonomic control, and contributes up to 70% of the resting pressure. Sympathetic, suprarectal, and hypogastric plexus. Parasympathetic fibers are supplying. Damage result in passive swelling and platters incontinence. This against musculature. Clinical anatomy. DPRE, that is a digital per rectal examination, very important in most of the cases. Most of the patient in physical examination we are doing in the patients proctoscopy and sigmoidoscopy we are doing. Prolapse of the rectum is a common condition, and neurological disturbance of the rectum, rectal incontinence, carcinoma of the rectum, piles, hemorrhoids in the anal canal, and anal fissure or fissure in ano, fistula in ano. So all these are the clinical anatomy of the rectum and anal canal. So this is a DPRE. So the index finger is passed through the anal route. You can palpate the condition of the prostate and the bladder. So through the DPRE method, route or the method. So here the rectum is prolapsed rectum. You see here the rectum is synced in the anal canal. So this is called as a prolapse. Hemorrhoids, there are internal hemorrhoids and the external hemorrhoids. Means piles in general or in layman language, it is called as piles. Internal hemorrhoids. So tributary of the suprarectal vessels. So they are present above the white line. Generally, they are painless. External hemorrhoids, they are tributary of the inferior rectal veins. They are present below the white line, and then they are extremely painful. So this is the internal hemorrhoid. So they are painless. So the external hemorrhoids are there extremely painful. So external hemorrhoid, origin below the dentate line. Here origin below the dentate line. And here internal hemorrhoid, origin above the dentate line. So the hemorrhoid is originating above the dentate line. And this is a mixed hemorrhoid. So origin above and below the dentate line. Complete, it is occupying the complete. And here is internal external rectal plexus. So both the venous routes are mixed here. Okay, this is formed by the internal rectal veins. This is formed by the external rectal venous plexus. But here both are mixed here. The both are mixed, crossing the dentate line. Usually the files are present at the 11 o'clock and the 7 o'clock and the 3 o'clock positions. So most of the piles, primary piles at the right anterior primary pile is at the 11 o'clock and the 7 o'clock and the 3 o'clock position. So here you can see the enlarged anal cushions. So here blood supply, and then you can see the piles at the 11 o'clock, 7 o'clock and the 3 o'clock position. So here you can see the piles, appearance of the piles in the anal canal. Anal fissure, rupture of the anal walls leads to so that leads to rupture. So rupture also happens of the anal walls. They are very painful. Anal fissure. So here this is anal fissure, the opening in the anal wall. Drainage of the perianal abscess. So parallelly the abscess is drained parallel to the anal wall. Fistula nano. A fistula nano is a hollow tract lined with the granulation tissue connecting a primary opening inside the anal canal to a secondary opening in the perianal skin. Secondary tracts may be multiple and from the same primary openings. So here you can see the fistula nano. Okay, here the openings will be there. The two openings which connect the rectum with the this one anal canal. So this completes the rectum and anal canal. Hope all of you understood this, the anatomy of the rectum and anal canal. So it is. So any doubts in this? Any questions, dear students? Any questions, dear students?
No, sir.
Okay.